Hey yo. Hi, my name is Jermaine Henry, and I am a core team member of the Youth Social Infrastructure Collaborative. And I just wanted to share the impact story of how YSI has really helped to change my life. So, I am a social entrepreneur. What that means is that I do a lot of community work, but I use my art. So whether it be the art of hosting and facilitating groups, or whether it be spoken word, or it be rap, emceeing, hip hop, I use that artistry, and that's actually how I make my living, right? So of course, um, I'm always trying to impact the community because I'm a community artist. I'm really looking for freedom for people to live a better life, really, and really face a lot of the different oppressions and pro liberation. So, just like you, I hope, I don't know, have you ever wanted to make an impact in your community, or you wanted to really feel passionate about your own life's work? And I've been there before. I've been at a point where I didn't feel like I was living in my purpose, and because of that, I had a lot of spirit injuries. Like I felt like just out of touch, very alone. I was dealing with my own mental health and a lot of things. As I worked, as a youth worker in the community for a while, and I'm trying to make some social change and trying to make a world that doesn't exist yet. Make good things happen in my community. It's difficult. You're going against the grain, and I even as an artist, I took the leap about 2 years ago to be a full-time social entrepreneur, and I joined Spoken Heard, and I was working with the education. So we're doing workshops, art space workshops, and I really took a dive. And last year, I lived with Jordan Vieira, my brother. I really thank you for all the times, and it was hard times struggling to have our meetings with Spoken Heard in our basement apartment, in the kitchen, and really work hard and try to make something happen. And I remember when I got in touch with YSI, sorry, um, I was really at that rock bottom place. Like I was at a place where I was trying to work. And as a community animator with the Black Experience Project, but I was it was taken away from the time that I had in even doing theater. So I was in the Wata school, and I was doing theater because as part of my artistry is acting and drama and spoken word and all this stuff. And I was in the performing arts training intensive, um, but like I wasn't making any money in that regard. Like I was doing all these youth programs and waiting on grants and really struggling to make ends meet. But thank God to be able to make rent and all that. But I was going so hard, and I was really struggling to eat all these different things. And I remember I got connected with the New Mentality and GYC, the Grassroots Youth Collaborative, who both happen to be YSI stewards. And I got to involved with doing the hosting and being part of the harvesting team, and I didn't even know what this harvesting thing was for Disabled Label, the New Mentalities retreat. And I remember there I found out more about YSI from Violetta, from Jasmine, from Peter, from Carolyn, from Kathy, all these people that were involved with YSI, the Youth Social Infrastructure, and I was like, I wonder what that is. What does that mean? So after DTL, I remember being at Sketch in the offices where we had an office with GYC, and I saw this guy Chris Lee, and Chris Lee, he was the coordinator, network coordinator for YSI, and they're having this retreat coming up, and I wanted to see. To be honest, I wanted to see if I could help to host because I just did this DTL, and I felt like, okay, wow, this is where I really feel like passionate about, and I'm using my skills to enliven, inspire people, and have fun. And I still remember Violetta at DTL. She said to me, she's like, you're meant for this hosting. Like this is what you should be doing, and you're like a young elder. And I really took that to heart, and that's why I wanted to put it forward. And so I said, Chris, hey, let's how about we have a conversation about YSI? I want to learn more about what YSI is all about. And he's like, yeah, sure. So we go downstairs out of Artscape, and he has a coffee. I have apple cider. And I remember asking, so what's YSI? And Chris let me know, like, the youth social infrastructure is an intergeneration of a community of practice of people trying to make good things happen in the community. So what that means is they have convenings like the collab camp where people from let's say Laidlaw Foundation will be there or have ties to there, or there'll be a community worker that's at a drop-in center, or there'll be an artist. There's just so many different people that the intention is for them to, make some good things happen in the community and build relationship. So I was like, wow, I really, I want to be a part of that, and I would love to even host. And he's like, how about being hosted? And I was like, wow, I never thought about that because I've been doing all this community work and trying to make things happen, but I haven't been hosted as much at that time. So I was like, you know what? I need that. I need some self care right now. It's tough times. And I remember going to collab camp, and that was one of the first interactions that I had with like the YSI experience. I was tied to Amy with GYC with YSI, and I was tied to um, the new mentality with Carolyn and Kathy. But then collab camp was the first time I got involved, and from the time I got there, we had a name tag that you had to make and cut different things from the magazine or put it on to jazz up and show your personality. And I remember someone showed me, and I found a light bulb, and idea to like, yeah, that's exactly you. You bring ideas, and that was there that I brought myself there. And I don't know, collab camp, it it introduced me to people that really throughout this journey that I'm going to share with you help me to build up my confidence as a change maker, and showing people that showing me that I have gifts to offer, and then also like for me to help other people in their initiatives to help to make really some social impact. So um, uh, there we had just the focus on spirit. And I remember Gerard, thank you, Elder Gerard, um, and honoring the land, and have a connection to the land and just indigenous practices. And I really learned a lot more about, um, just the sacredness and the beauty of coming together in a circle and being able to offer your voice and relationship, and having that participatory philosophy. It's with it tied to the indigenous um, practices and by indigenous people. Like to me, I thought that was really cool. That mixture, that diversity, and the authenticity. So I really, collab camp was amazing. So from there, all right, some of the great things that happened. So through the YSI Collaborative Network, I've been referred and got into a lot of different initiatives that's helped me to really develop myself as the social entrepreneur and as a community leader. So one of the first things I was, you know, invited to from Violetta, again, thank you, love you, Violetta, was the School for Social Entrepreneurs. Now, I've been in the School for Social Entrepreneurs for the last 9 months, and it's really helped me to develop, okay, what is this thing I'm trying to do, make an income but also make a social impact? How do you do that, and what are some supports, mentorship, as well as business models, business canvases that can help you to formulate that, and the kind of like the skills towards that. So that's been great. Also, to develop as a facilitator and as a host, I remember the call out for the young spirit circles, and that was interesting. That was at a time where I was really at rock bottom. I was looking for, okay, how can I make money, but as well as live my passion and do what I feel like I'm called to do. And young spirit circles was exactly that. It was an opportunity for me to really be me. Like I remember in the call out, they're asking for a video. So I felt like that was great because I was able to express and show them exactly who I am all about, and really, you know, f- they really get to see who I am. It helps with that relationship, and then also a creative piece. So I was able to show my music. I had this track, "Allow Your Bliss," off my EP, "Preview My Perspective," and that's what I use to apply for a job. Like that's already pretty cool. And Young Spirit Circles, it was amazing. It was a venture where this whole idea of pluralism and inclusion, and people from different beliefs, backgrounds, and holding that diversity. But okay, how is it that we can have spirit and social change? What is that interconnection, and how can we all just be together in that essence? The essence of how are we building community and building relationships and making a social impact and those kind of things. So we went around the province. I was in London, Ontario, And I remember that was great because in London is where Brave Space came up, and Brave Space is an idea and a concept in a way of holding groups in circle space that I've really kind of pushed forward because we're always trying to have the safe space, but when we're trying to talk about anti-racism or settler indigenous relationships and reconciliation, it's not safe. Like that's very triggering. So we have to be brave and courageous to be our authentic selves and vulnerable, so we can really build relationships. So that was great learning from London Spirit Circle. And then, being in Toronto and learning about from Elder Nene just how to deepen your spiritual practice in this work because, we can, I remember we had that great question, what is our relationship to the universe? Which seemed so airy and whatnot. But part of that was brought up by Elder Nene was how can you have that spiritual discipline where when things are tough and you're in the depths, you have something to hold back to ground you, and that was great in Toronto. And then we went to Sault Ste. Marie, so we're out in the north, and it was interesting just to see different in the rural area, and getting to know with more indigenous people about their practices and really connect. I loved that I could go with Candice, our co-host Candice. Thank you so much for showing us Sault Ste. Marie. Um, it was just a blessing, and I can't forget Anali for London, like that, inviting us into your home. That helped me, as a co-host and to build relationship while building my practice. So that was impact. And then, finally going to Thunder Bay with Carol. That was amazing. And like, yo, it's so north, but it's different, yet it's the same. Us using that creative, that artistic energy and trying to make good things happen and just having that passion and talking about, how can we make things a little better for, our world and our communities. So, Young Spirit Circles was a great impact in my life, and I really learned as a facilitator of these groups and with the team more about what it takes to design and have a certain flow, but also being flexible and how to ask questions. I remember in the World Cafe, just okay, what kind of questions are we going to get people to go deeper? You know, so it was great. And in the midst of that, I remember Chris Lee hooked up that I could do some training with the Path and Maps with Linda Kahn and Jack Pearpoint with inclusion, and I literally got to do a 3-day training on graphic facilitation and strategic planning processes and uh, solution circles, maps, and they invited me in there just to contribute my ideas, and I didn't have really the funds to do it, and they allowed me to do that as a contributor just for free, and that was amazing. And I got to do a demonstration with the maps process and really look at, okay, this is all the work that I've been doing, and this is why it's important to me, and this is where I want to be. And that was a great opportunity with Path and Maps. That was, that helped me to know, okay, this is where you're at, Jermaine, and you've come a long way, and you really are a container. Um, you are an actor. You are an artist. All these things that these people reflected back to me through this process. It was cool. I'll probably show you one of the pictures of the maps, and it's funny. So one day, one day after the Path and Maps training, I remember I ran into Sylvia Argentina from CABE, the Canadian Alliance for Black Educators, who I met at Collab Camp months before at the YSI Collab Camp, and she was actually needed someone to host their 35th anniversary, and so randomly we ran into each other, synchronicity, synergies, as Alix would say, and that's another opportunity. I was able to get another working opportunity to host, and that was amazing. So all throughout the summer while Spirit Circles is going on, another opportunity I had was with the Children's Peace Theater to do Peace Camp, and we did this co-production with young people between the ages of 6 and 16 and 15, and it was called Raising Revolution. Now, it's very interesting how things come full circle, and mentorship is a really big part of YSI because when Young Spirit Circle started, I was actually in Watts school with Dibby Young, and Dibby Young is an amazing artist and has taught me so much in the 9 months that I was in Watts school. And at the end of when I was about to finish the program there, I had Spirit Circles come in, and it was like a crossroad. It was so tough. Like I remember the first week that we had the training for Young Spirit Circles was also the week that I was trying to do. I had a festival for Wata School, and literally on a Saturday, I had to go from lighting and rehearsal with Wata to training with Young YSI, Young Spirit Circles, and it was exhausting day. And finally, I had to make the choice um, to really do Young Spirit Circles and take that because it's give me that money, and I just felt like it was it was that calling. And acting is something that I always love and I'm always trying to do and put in my work. But I had to make that move, so I ended up getting into the Children's Peace Theater and being an artist guide. And long behold, in my group of young artists, young people that I was helping to do the scene and for the Raising Revolution, I had Phoenix, who is Dibby Young's son. So I had Dibby Young, who was my mentor. I was mentoring her son in this theatrical production that we did, and it was political theater. It was on Black Lives Matters, and I thought that was great. Like even though with YSI, I had to kind of give up Watts School, it came full circle because it's the same work of spirit of political politics, just in the sense of concerning the people and using art as a medium to express and share and make something happen in your community. So that was another great impact and great thing I was a part of. And then finally, again, this time I got to be the lead host at Disabled Label Mental Health retreat with the New Mentality, who's another partner with YSI. That was another opportunity that was great. um, I remember this year, like because I worked with the Spirit Circles and the artist guide with CPT, I've so much developed as a facilitator and as a host and as someone who can make these large gatherings and make them happen, and be a part of them, make them participatory, and that practice of building relationships and making processes of people to come together as community for some action, for some change. So that was amazing. And again, with YSI, because In Spirit Foundation funded Young Spirit Circles, they had a conference and they had it called Change Up. And I applied through because I got the opportunity with the Young Spirit Circles with YSI, and I was a delegate, and we had a bunch of change makers from all over the nation, from Victoria and BC, from Halifax, from Saskatchewan, from Toronto, Thunder Bay, all over, and Calgary, and we had all these tough, real conversations about the different issues surrounding, inclusivity and pluralism in Canada. About racism, about what's going on with truth and reconciliation, so much, and it was interesting. It was a cool experience. You know, yeah, and then so that was a big impact, and then another impactful event I through the YSI, some people got me an opportunity to perform at the International Youth and Mental Health conference in Montreal, and um, Mariette, what up, Mariette? Who I met at Collab Camp and we connected. She's one of the people that put my name forward. So that is what YSI is all about, is people interconnected, and they're trying to make things happen. They remember you, and they'll give you some more opportunity to showcase how you can serve your community. And you know that network has really done that for me. So now the steps by step of how YSI, that I believe they do that, is one is having indigenous leadership and eldership and learning from the people here and honoring the land. Two, it's the power of circle, and that's part of one, the power of circle. Art of hosting, that is a huge thing that YSI does in these gatherings. The asset based community and community practice, that's another great thing. The intergenerational, you need that. Those are the elements. And, this focus on spirit and healing and relationships, those are what makes this thing happen. And there's probably other stuff, but that's just from my perspective. um, yeah, and then so to share a couple of the mistakes on the way, like, or some of the things that were challenges is during like the young spirit circles, I was so broke. It was difficult to go on these trips and and pay out and then get the reimbursement. That was difficult because I didn't have. I'm a social entrepreneur. I don't really have. I'm going check to check. So I think next time maybe if we had more of the if we're paid, half first and then after, that might be cool. But yeah, that was cool. I think that that's always a thing. And then also like sometimes it's touchy, um, just working with indigenous, non-indigenous, like that's tough, and just how people interact. But I think that's kind of a part of it is maybe being more sensitive how we have those conversations and how we all hold them. But I think you're always gonna have those clashes. But it was great. Um, yeah, and sometimes I think what one of the mistakes that I've done is I've taken this network for granted a little bit. Like if YSI is has potential to die, like that's unfortunate because it's had such an impact on my life. It's really helped me to grow as a young person and as a community leader, and give me the opportunity to just to figure out who I am and actualize that. Yeah. So the last thing before you leave. Okay, so the last thing for you click off this video, I just need to tell you one thing that you need to do first thing after this video is create something and let it be about your experience, about your community. Create something and reach out and share it to someone in your community. And that's what it is all about is creating something that you feel like the world needs and sharing it. That's what YSI is about. And that's how you build a relationship. Peace. One love.